counter to all these footmen. Secondly, he gained time. Time is now against Teal, in my opinion. What you have is someone who's teching much faster, who typically would like to waste time, but now he's faced with someone who is fast expoed, and I believe that the time spent waiting for an expansion or waiting for a tech to finish is not like a good trade as opposed to the double resources that green is getting. Basically, if Teal doesn't want to fight for another minute so his tech will finish, I think that minute of extra resources will actually hurt him as opposed to aiding him. I hope that made sense. That sounded really good in my head, and so, you know, if that made sense, I stand behind that statement. So again, he's just going to waste time. Green, if you haven't figured out, is really fast teching to tier 3. He's building up 2 workshops. He already has 2 barracks, and so what we're going to see is a mass knight push with Tri-Hero. And this will work because of the great early game that he had against Eric. Now, I don't know if Infinity would have tried this had Eric not given him such a big advantage early game, but it is a very interesting strategy that I think is worthy of trying in some of your games, because I can talk about it later. I don't mean to get ahead of myself, because there is some stuff happening right now. I want you guys to notice that with the putting of pressure on the Undead's base and on the Undead's army, just basically the whole right side of the map, there really hasn't been any trouble with Infinity's main base or his expansion. He's only had to put up 1 tower, and it's an arcane tower at his expansion, and there are no towers at his main base. Now, when I first watched the game, I was like, wow, that sucks. Like, he's really vulnerable to an attack. But then I thought about it. Like, with the footman, if he always has a TP, and with footman, with the Finn, you know, he can easily TP back, call to arms, and he'll be fine against all these fiends. And so, I just think it's awesome how he's able to exercise such influence on the game and on the outcome of the game based on the place he puts key pressure. I think a lot of human games are won without towers using good timing. You know, 20 towers, it doesn't really matter what stage of the game you're in, it's going to be pretty effective. Whereas I can build 2 towers, but if I build them at the right time of the game, in a crucial moment, a pivotal moment, then they'll be equally as effective as 10 towers in a non-effective time. Timing, a lot of people, because you can't see it, because you can't micro it, well, in a way you can, but you get what I'm saying. People don't really regard it as a key factor in why people win, and so hopefully if you pay more attention to that and work on your own, then you'll see a big improvement in the outcome of your games. Like, you don't even have to play your games very differently, but depending on when you do something as opposed to what you do, it'll make a huge difference. So I'm going to go back to Eric's base. He only has 1 slaughterhouse still, and it just is very irritating for me because I do feel like at this point Infinity has 4 knights, Tri-Hero. As far as hero levels, he is right there with Eric, and so I think that basically he's going to run away with this game in a little bit, but I feel like the game is pretty much already over after he starts pumping out knights. I say this because he has 2 workshops, and so he can easily start pumping mass gyrocopters if the need arises. He's already starting to produce a few, and So he's already preparing for the obvious counter to Mass Knights, which is the Mass Destro, which is countered by the Mass Gyro. So like I was saying, I hate that Eric makes all these playing errors because I think it almost robs Infinity of the, how should I say, of the privilege of beating, a good strategy, a good player with this strategy. So anyway, every time their skirmish ends, either neutral or in Infinity's favor, or even sometimes in Eric's favor, I think that just the time is passing and his advantage is growing bigger and bigger, larger and larger. So, of course, you've noticed already, the Undead has placed an expansion in the bottom right corner of the map, and it's been scouted by a gyrocopter, which is one of the most sexy scouting units in the game. It's got an amazing field of sight, it flies, it moves really fast, and it's cheap as hell. It's like 90 gold. It is freaking awesome. So, yeah, this expansion scouted. This is going to pretty much be the last big skirmish of the game. And here we go. The Destro upgrade has been researched, but there's still only one slaughterhouse. And if you check Eric's resources, he's running a little low on lumber, which is a big problem for massing Destros. But he does have 4 ghouls going, and so I don't see why he should have such bad lumber issues, besides having to mass fiends and keep replacing fiends. Either way, he's way outclassed, and even a few destroyers right now won't really turn the tide of battle, as Infinity has Tri-Hero, he has a staff floating around, a scroll or two, and oh yes, 7 or 8 knights. Now, he did produce 2 siege engines. I don't have a problem with this. I know other people I know a lot of people hate, siege engines. And for good reason, because they are really, really annoying to play against. I completely understand. However, well, I'll talk about that. I'm sorry for jumping around. I'll talk about that in one moment. I just want to talk about this final battle. Eric knows that the final battle's here. Knows that whatever happens after this battle is going to be the game, and so he goes on to hire a Dark Ranger for silence, trying to counter that human nuke. I think it's a good move. I think, of course, it was a bit too late, or the game is a bit one-sided at this point, so it's not really going to help you at all. If you check food counts, it's like 60 to 80, and so yeah, that one Destro is getting destroyed. Destro getting destroyed by gyrocopters. Here, the TP, a little bit of offensive towering going on, but there's really no point, as the GG is gonna fly in 5, 4, 3. I don't know. I was trying to. I thought if I could count down right, then it would be really cool that I could call it when he was gonna say GG. But I'm not that Gosu, I guess. Now? Okay, yeah, when the DK dies, it's when it pops up. So, that's that. I'm done with the replay. There, the GG, see, I called it. GG right there. I dominate this game. Not very surprising, the scores. Green was just able to fully influence and pressure his opponent, pressure the map, and through just sheer outplaying, he, took the game.